of, of two bills that would allow for undocumented individuals here in the country to achieve either a driver's license or a privilege card to drive. They both accomplish the same thing on one levels. They both have their strengths and weaknesses. And what we will do here is we'll start with Senator Boysko's bill, and that is, I believe, Senate Bill 643.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
And we will hear Senator Boysko's bill, and once we've done that, we will take let's do 10 minutes for pros and cons to your bill, and then we'll hear Senator Servel's do 10 minutes to hear pros and cons. Does that work for you?
I think we should just do 10 minutes on both,
Total.
but together.
Together. Well, I tell you what, we'll split the difference. We'll do 15 together. So we'll present both bills, and then we'll take people commenting on both versions. Does that work for the panel? All right, Senator Boysko, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. SB 643. First, I have a substitute amendment in the nature of a substitute.
I have a motion to accept the substitute. All those in favor of accepting the substitute, say aye. Aye.
This
The
new,
substitute will shortly be before us. As we hand-
so, would you like me to explain it?
Just let them pass it out. Yes, Senator Boysko, could you
Certainly.
please explain your substitute to Senate Bill 643?
Yes, sir. So the amendment in the nature of the substitute, the new language includes some technical changes to the real ID language so that it's clear what's in a real ID. And it also adds a $5 re-examination fee for people who do not pass the knowledge test or behind the wheel test on the first try. And I will clarify that students who are doing behind the wheel at their school programs are exempt from this. So that's the amendment.
Mr. Chairman?
Questions are in order for the
Yes, sir.
for the substitute. Senator Spruill.
For a person who is not an immigrant, who take the test and fail the test for the first time, do they pay $5?
Mr. Chairman, yes, they would. And there is about a 50% failure rate currently with people who are.
I'm talking about the current law.
Yes, sir.
I'm not talking about the.
Sorry.
I'm talking about the current law right now for those who are not immigrants. If I went to take the test and fail it for the first time, I do not have to pay $5.
Mr. Chairman, he's correct.
So in that case, then, so if I got to pay $5, then why have they got to pay $5?
Mr. Chairman, this would be for everybody. There's a current 50% failure rate for the skills test, the driving test, currently with people who are applying for a driver's license, and this would help make the DMV be able to cover those costs because it's an addition to their staff.
Yes, Senator Spruill, if, as is the custom around here, if you're proposing something that will increase some cost, you have to propose a way to pay for it. And this would be paid for through a $5 fee on retesting that currently does not exist. Is that correct, Commissioner Holcomb?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Spruill, Rick Holcomb, DMV Commissioner. Currently, if you're an adult, you have to pay a $2 retest fee on the second test. You don't pay on the first one unless you want to wait 15 days. If you can wait 15 days to be retested, we don't waive the fee. But as the Senator said, one of the reasons that the DMVs are as crowded as they is people are not studying for that knowledge test. Skills tests, we're only seeing about a 10% failure rate, but 50% of the people who walk into the DMV have not studied sufficiently to the point that they can pass the knowledge test. That's why with Real ID, we need something to help us get folks to focus on studying the test, and we're hoping that maybe a little bit of a fee would encourage them to study before they came back to take the test
Mr.
again.
Chairman?
Senator Spruill.
So my question is this for everybody, not just, you just not singling out one race, so people talk for everybody. Black, white, red, green, everybody, is that right?
Currently, the $2 test fee is for everyone.
I'm talking about what she's proposing, the $5.
That would
That'd
be
for everybody,
Yes, sir.
including yourself. Thank you, Mayor.
Senator Bosco would study, and she would not fail the test, so I'm sure she would not have to pay for it. Right,
And,
Senator?
correct.
and, well, very good. So the bill as the substitute is before us. Senator Boysko, tell us about your bill.
Yes, sir. I also have another amendment on top that I was hoping that we could put on top of that, which is
Okay.
privacy language.
We have
that-
an amendment to the substitute that's before us. Do we have a motion on that?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of accepting the amendment to the substitute? Say aye. Aye. Aye.
I want to know what it
Senator-
says.
Senator McClellan. Oh, excuse me. Senator Evan.
I just was wondering if we could have an explanation of what the amendment
Well,
is
yeah, that's
before we vote.
what we'll do.
Happy to do
Senator
that,
Boysko.
sir. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, the language will prohibit the bulk release of photographs to government entities, but will prevent government entities to receive photographs if they, one, provide an individual's name and other sufficient identifying information, two, provide proof that the photograph is needed to perform the law enforcement agency's function. Also, the language would prohibit the release of an application submitted to the department for a driving credential or a special ID card. Three, the language would prohibit the release of proof documents provided by a customer for the issuance of a driving credential or special ID card. Four, the language would prohibit the release of information to the department's records relating to proof documents provided to the department, including whether legal present documentation was provided to the department. So it's a privacy for all people who are getting a driver's license or a credential.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Senator Favola.
Just a question on the amendment. And maybe this is for Commissioner Holcomb. Are the privacy statements in this, I would say, enactment, in this clause, are they standard? Would these privacies be extended to anybody who has a license in your database?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Favola, the answer is yes. One of the concerns that we've got is as a result of Real ID, we are collecting a whole lot of information as required by the federal government. We copy your passport, your social security card, your driver's license, your proof of residencies, and we are storing that, again, because the federal government tells us we have to store that for 10 years. Our current code does not allow us to protect that from disclosure, and so that was one of the reasons we're bringing this language forward. So this language is much broader in protecting information that we're currently required to receive from customers.
And would apply across the board, which
Yes,
is my question. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So have we had the vote on the
On the
amendment?
amendment?
We had who, I'm sorry, who, is that Senator Steph?
I have a quick question on the amendment. So where it says no photograph may be released upon the request of federal, state, or local government entity, local government group self-insurance pools, law enforcement officers, attorneys of the Commonwealth, court, or the authorized agent of any foregoing unless the requester provides an individual's name or significant identifying information contained in the individual's record. So now, I believe when a police officer pulls you over, they get a copy of your driver's license when they pull you over, correct?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Steph, yes, and this would not change anything on when police come in and ask for an individual record. What this says is you just can't go fishing and say, give me everyone's photograph of someone who presents a driver's license in the city of Richmond. Right now, our statute would require us to release that information, and this makes it a little bit more restrictive and to stop phishing accounts for folks.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, one quick follow-up.
Senator Steph.
Commissioner. Commissioner, just one last question on this is my understanding is when you put them together that there is truly a bulk release for the state police, so it goes up into their system, or are they tying into DMV's online system? Because
Saying-
we're talking NCIC checks, we're talking,
Mr. Chairman, Senator DeStef, it's the latter. When state police or any law enforcement entity access our records through vSend, they're getting the individual record out of our record. So it's not like state police says, give us your entire database so we can load it on our account. They're accessing up to our record, which will continue under this. It's just, someone can't come in and say, give me the information on give me pictures on everyone in your database.
all right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right. Have we had the vote on this amendment? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the amendment to the substitute, say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. We have one no, Senator Cosgrove. All right. Senator Boysko, please present your bill.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. SB 643 would expand access to a driver's license in Virginia. I have passed out, I should have passed out, if you'd pass those out to the members, now? Oh, they are? Okay. I've passed out pictures of driver's licenses and real IDs. As you can see, they are not federal identifying documents, but they would be a credential for you. I don't know if you all are aware that until January 1st, 2004, no one in Virginia was required to show legal presence in order to get a driver's license. According to the DMV, when the General Assembly made that change in Virginia's General Assembly, they grandfathered everyone who was holding a license at that time without asking to make certain that they were here under legal presence. And today, it is approximately 40% of the holders who
Mr.
still...
Chairman, can I ask
Senator
a question?
Sugarline.
Why was it done in 2004?
It was as a result of the terrorist concerns.
After 9/11? Thank you.
Yep.
Senator Boysko, go ahead.
Those licensees have never been asked to show legal presence. I'm simply asking that we go back to the long-held public policy prior to 2004, because now we have the option for a real ID. So if people want to make certain that they have a credential that shows their citizenship wherever they're from, they have that ability and can show they have legal presence. In this bill, this is a public safety bill. Drivers absolutely must pass the written and road test to obtain the license. Police will be able to identify motorists during traffic stops and check traffic records. Drivers will be more likely to stay at the scene of an accident to aid police and emergency workers and to exchange insurance information with affected motorists. And even, we look at our courts and jails, which are overburdened. Courts and jails will be significantly less burdened because drivers who are arrested solely for driving without a license will no longer, it will be greatly, greatly reduced. This bill has fiscal and economic benefits for our Commonwealth. More people will be properly trained and understand the rules of the road, which makes me happy. Insurance and premiums are expected to drop for all drivers. According to the Commonwealth Institute for Fiscal Analysis, car insurance cost could go down for everyone if there's increased road safety and decreases in the number of uninsured drivers. More specifically, the Commonwealth will benefit from revenues from the growth in sales tax, in licensing fees, and vehicular registrations as newly licensed drivers purchase, register, and maintain cars. We know that people are on the roads already. They're driving without these credentials. They're having their cars registered in other states, like in Maryland. This would make sure that they're here on the books with us. According to the Commonwealth Institutes, the revenue impacts of expanding driver's license access from the number of licenses issued due to the new proposed law, we expect indirect revenues from driver's license applications and the vehicles being titled and registration could be in the $10 million to $17 million range for Virginia. This is a bill that treats all Virginians with respect and dignity. In most communities, public transportation is not a viable option. And, people need to be able to go to church, to pick up their children, to get to the doctor's office, to care for a loved one during an emergency. We know that people need to be able to get out and about. I would also like to clarify that, once again, and you can see it on the card I provided for you, a driver's license, they do not provide identification for federal purpose nor for voting. The standard driver's license states federal limits apply. So you can see that chart. In fact, only real IDs provide access to federal facilities and airplanes. Already, neither the standard driver's license or real ID neither of those allow people to vote. There are currently people who qualify to get a real ID that are ineligible to vote, such as green card holders, people with felony convictions. They can get a driver's license. They can get a real ID. I argue that if we are to create a third type of driving ID, like a driver's privilege card, stigmatizes a community without providing any additional benefits to anyone. We would join 15 other states, plus Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, who have already paved a way with credentials for a more safe, attainable, and equitable driving experience by providing a driver's license or some form of driving ID to all communities. Fairfax County government fully supports this bill, as well as you see many advocates in this room. I have been working on this for 5 years, since the very first year I came to the body. This is very important to my community, but I know that I work closely with Senator Surville. I know we both have been advocating for this, and hope that it is the pleasure of the body to use the driver's license credential as we move forward, if the body so chooses.
Thank you, Senator Borsko. One question.
Yes, sir.
If someone received this who was undocumented and not a citizen of the United States or the Commonwealth of Virginia, and presented the federal limits apply regular driver's license in an attempt to vote or exercise some other thing, what would happen?
They would, well, we know it's a felony already for them to register to vote, but it would not be inadequate. You have to have something else to show your voter registration.
Your legal presence. Okay.
Mr.
Thank you
Chairman?
very much.
Chairman?
Senator Sproul.
Let me start off by saying thank you. Let me say thank you. And what I was getting at earlier, I just want to make sure that they're treated the same way as I. I want to make sure that history doesn't repeat itself when blacks had to go through certain things to vote or do anything else. I just want to make sure, and you have cleared it up for me. I just want to thank you for this, because I was really passionate and upset was that if a driver has to drive a license, nothing else. So why would they would have to have something different to drive if they pass the test and whatever qualifications you have to make? I was concerned because I knew about the $2, sir. I was concerned if they got to pay $5, why I don't have to pay $5. So I just want to thank you for that, because most of these young folks are young and I'm old school. And all I'm saying is this: I just want to make sure that everybody is treated fairly the same. Doesn't matter whether they black, red, white, or green. And whatever law applies for this young man, whatever law applies for me, it should apply for them. They should not be treated any different than what I am treated. So I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Senator Sproul. Now, what we are going to do is to hear Senator Surville's version of driving for undocumented residents of the Commonwealth. And Senator Surville, your bill is Senate Bill 34, and I believe you have a substitute?
I do.
Okay, could we pass out the substitute? And do I have a motion on the substitute to get it before us?
So moved?
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the substitute being before us signify by saying aye. Aye. All right. Opposed? Okay. Senator Cosgrove.
I would just like to compare the two substitutes. We can tell which one is a serval substitute just by a visual reference.
Senator Serville, while people are examining your document there, could you walk us through what your substitute does?
Mr. Chairman,
Senator DeStaff.
I like to read every bill, and I'm known for doing that. We've got one substitute, 41 pages, another substitute, 91 pages. I'm only on page like 15. Maybe I'm a slow reader, but I'm only on page 15 of the first bill with questions. I mean, unless we're going to be here for a few hours, I'm not real comfortable voting on something before we have a chance to truly read it. And maybe I'm the only one in the committee. Maybe everybody else went to Evelyn Wood and his speed readers.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator
uncomfortable.
DeStaff, I don't believe there are many substantive changes
No.
to Senator Serville's bill, and if I could have staff report
Yeah,
perhaps.
I can
what-
explain it.
Or would you prefer to do
Yeah,
that,
can I do
Senator
it?
Serville?
I probably talk faster. First of all, the substitute you have before you is basically the same bill you've seen for the last 3 years. The only substantive change is that we added provisions prohibiting DMV from releasing any information to anybody absent a court order. It's basically all the stuff that you just saw in her line amendment, but conformed to this bill. So it's basically the privacy restriction kind of stuff. And if you really want to read a more specific site would probably be lines 1851 through lines 1866, I think is the bulk of it. I think there's a couple other places, though, throughout where it's kind of sprinkled around. But as I said, Mr. Chairman, I mean, that's basically the difference between the substitute and the bill as introduced.
Yeah, and Senator Serville, a judge of proper jurisdiction, if on a court order, could ask for some specific information off of that list, but in terms of anyone getting the list in its entirety,
Correct.
would be not possible, but it
Correct.
was still subject to a court order.
Correct. It has to be a court order, not just some letter from somebody or some, phone call. It has to be a court order. I would also just say to the committee that the bulk of this bill is really lines 1942 through 1965, and the rest of it is just conforming language to 1942 through 1965 sort of creates the driver privilege card, and the rest of the language in here is mostly just conforming other parts of the code to the fact that it would
Senator
exist.
Serville, go ahead, present your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So basically, this is the genesis of this bill. I like Senator Boysko, have been carrying this bill now for 5 years. My first term in the Senate, I introduced it. She was in the House of Delegates. We were both carrying on either side. I've been working also with Delegate Rob Bloxham, who is also carrying this identical bill in the House right now. I believe it's already been reported at a committee over there. But in any event, I thought it did. Oh, okay. Well, it didn't report. Okay. But in any event, Delegate Bloxham is carrying it with me in the House. Now, this bill, what's different is it's a temporary one-year privilege card. It has a $100 filing fee for an initial card and a $50 renewal fee every year after that. And we can get into where the fees came from. But when I introduced this bill originally, it looked a lot different than this. The DMV put together a stakeholder group of about 40 people, which came up with this bill in the 2016 session. And it's basically remained mostly unchanged for 2016, 17, 18, and 19. And then we just made the changes I just described. So in order to get a temporary privilege card into this bill, you would have to pay the $100. You would have to show you've paid Virginia income taxes for 3 years. You would have to pass the driving test. And you'd have to prove you're a Virginia resident. Those are the three requirements.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask?
Senator Suderline.
As I'm reviewing the bill, the different parts there, can you tell us how it would look? It looks like in your bill, it would say not valid for, because I remember this from the previous years as you were talking about, it would say not valid identification for federal voting or public benefit purposes.
Correct.
And I remember in the past, I believe you gave us what
did.
it would look like.
I
Do you
did.
have your version too?
I think staff, here, I have it right here. Right here. May I hand it up? We'll pass them out. No,
That's
but it's one you're about to get. It's this one at the top.
This one at the top is yours.
two versions of
Yeah.
the license. This is the Senator Serville's.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Mr.
Can
Chairman,
we hold
Okay.
for 1 minute to let the members of the committee look at the document for just 1 minute?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman.
Senator
I
Sproul.
have more to say.
Senator Surveyor,
Yes, sir.
The three things, you go over it again, just the last three things you just said about the $100 and what have you. You can go over it again?
The three things?
Yes, sir, you just
You have
got
to
to.
show you're paid Virginia taxes for 3 years, pass the test, show you're resident.
Okay.
So
now,
that you live in Virginia.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, wait a minute, let me
excuse me,
finish.
Senator Sproul.
So, if, would I have to do that for the first time I go take a test? Would I have to show that I live in Virginia?
Lionel Sproul?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you would.
Would I have to pay the $100?
You would have to pay, I think it's $10 or it's not 100. It's some number less than that.
All I'm trying to say, what you're saying, all I'm trying to say, I'm just trying to figure out why you are differentiating them from me.
Okay.
If you say to me, the exact same thing that you said, that $100 show that I live in Virginia all my life, I take the driver's test. If you got to say, Sproul, show a paper you live in Virginia, fine. If you saved to whatever $100, fine. But you just got through saying for me, $10. So I'm trying to figure out, there you go again. This is just like B-poll tax for black folks. You got to pay a tax to show up to do this and that. All I'm trying to figure out, if they live in Virginia and they pass the test, what have you, I'm trying to figure out, why do they have to show all these things in order to get a drive license test?
Mr.
I
Chairman.
don't have to do it, and you don't have to do it. All I'm trying to say, we can't single out a race of folks, because that's what was done to my folks, and I don't want to have it done to them.
Mr. Chairman. Mr.
Senator
Chairman.
Servo.
First of all, and I'll finish explaining the bill in a second, but to answer your question, first thing I'll note is that not every undocumented person is not white. There are probably plenty of people or whatever. There's plenty of all kinds
They
of
were
people that
white,
are
you wouldn't be
undocumented.
doing this to them.
Well, first of all, Senator, let me just tell you, this bill I've carried now for 4 years, and everybody standing behind me supported it for 4 years. Okay? So this bill that I'm carrying is the exact same bill I've been carrying. It's the exact same bill that I spoke about when I stood on the steps of the Capitol 3 months ago with a lot of people in this room saying we were going to put this bill in. And so the only thing that's changed is that Real ID went into effect in the last 12 months and created another option. But there are 15 or 17 other states that have done this already. This bill isn't unique. It's not an unusual idea. And in terms of the fee we came up with at the recommendation of DMV to cover the fiscal impact of the additional employees that need to be hired to process these applications. And it was the fee recommended by the McAuliffe administration at the time the bill was initially drafted. So there's things that have changed in the last 4 months when Virginia decided to both have Real ID and regular ID. And that's new. That's different this year. Okay?
Senator Sproul, I might add that when you have two options here, certainly there'll be a preferred option and a secondary option. All of this, just to let everyone know, because there's fees and involved here in either bill, the vehicles here will have to go to the Finance and Appropriations Committee, who will make a final determination on the disposition of these bills, and we will, have a vote on what we're going to send to them and in what form it will be. But right now we have sort of a situation of a belt and a suspenders. There's two different ways of taking care of this particular problem. And either one or the other or both or neither will come out of the committee. But if something comes out, it does need to go to the Finance and Appropriations Committee for final determination.
Mr. Chairman, can I finish explaining the bill?
Go ahead.
Thank you. And a couple other things I just want to point out. I am a chief co-sponsor of Senator Boysko's bill. I support her bill also. And I also want to note, with respect to the question that the senator from Roanoke County raised about why this happened, that what happened in 2001 could not happen today because you could not get on a plane without a real ID. And so the risk for which we adopted that statute in 2004 doesn't exist anymore because you can't get on the airplane without a real ID. Until in October. Fair point. So in any event, I'm going to give you 6 reasons why you need to do either one of our bills, really. Number one is that in every state that's adopted this, accidents have gone down because a lot of people are getting taught the rules of the road and they learn what the signs mean, what the lane markings mean, when they're supposed to stop, not stop, when school buses go and all that kind of stuff. We have to learn when we take a driving test. Number two, you have many fewer hit and run accidents where this happens because when people have government ID, they don't feel the need to leave the scene of the collision. And that improves not only accidents being covered by insurance, which is better for everybody, it helps avoid criminal charges and lots of headaches when people stop. Number three, it will lower Virginia insurance premiums because people will title their cars in Virginia instead of other states. In Northern Virginia right now, a lot of people title their cars in Maryland, or they go to Maryland to get one of the Maryland IDs, which, Senator Sproul, you don't like because it treats them different, which is how Maryland does it. But in any event, a lot of people right now go to Maryland, get a Maryland ID, they title their car in Maryland. This will get us more Virginia auto insurance premiums, more Virginia car title registration fees, more Virginia licensing fees. It'll bring these folks into Virginia with their money they're spending. Number four, people with ID are much more likely to call law enforcement when a problem happens, whether it's domestic violence, where they see another crime, they're much more likely to report themselves, ID themselves as a witness, and participate in criminal prosecution. Number five, you're going to see more tax revenue. Number six, these people just deserve to have a regular quality of life. They deserve to be able to go to the doctor. They deserve to be able to drive to work every day and not have fear of being stopped and arrested. These folks deserve to be able to take their child to the doctor and not have to worry about getting arrested for it. It's just the right thing to do. And I still support my bill, and I also support my good friend Senator Boysko's bill. But I believe that the committee or the Senate actually needs to make a policy choice as to which way they want to go with this. That's where I come out.
And Senator Servelt, just to be clear, what we are doing with this bill is working to make the lives of those living here in Virginia more reasonable, easy to do for the sake of children and getting to appointments and doing whatever. What the federal government does is what the federal government does. The Commonwealth of Virginia is not the federal government, and this does not really protect or provide any argument for anything other than that the federal government might be concerned about. These are just two very, very separate matters. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to respond. Senator Cosgrove pointed out the fact that Real ID, maybe he has a concern perhaps about people with driver's licenses before the enactment of October of next year. This bill would not go into effect until January of 2021 to address that so that there would be no overlap, so that there would be no way that all entry into a federal building or airplane would have to have a Real ID on October 1st. We have put an enactment date on my bill to January 1st, 2021 to address that so that there's no confusion. And
Mr. Chairman,
Senator
just
Cosgrove.
wanted to.
I'd say to the senator, yeah, I know about Real ID. I have a company with 150 employees, and they're all having to get Real ID, so I know when it takes effect. I was making a clarification point.
Yeah, and I just wanted to clarify with you so that, Mr. Chairman, so that there was no misunderstanding that somehow we would be giving these credentials out before that time.
And if your bill proceeds to the Finance Committee.
Yes, sir.
My understanding is that the federal government may be offering an extension on Real ID. Have you heard that, Senator Cosgrove? Senator Favola has that. So there may be, but we may need to make sure that the driver's license aspect, if that is what goes over, will have to be tied to when Real ID goes into effect, because the federal government could change that date. That's my understanding.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator
I think
Evans.
that's reasonable.
Yeah, I want to thank the patrons for bringing this forward. I had brought this forward in 2005 and 2006. I didn't stick with it, and we had people from both parties at that time. And I just want to outline people in my district. There's an organization called Tenants and Workers United, some of whom are, oh good, they are here, are behind you. And in a community named Chirlagua, I went to see them in December or November. This was the #1 priority for people. They just want to get to work. I think Senator Boysko's approach is the simplest, and that all I really want to see is that people show they're a resident and they pass a road test. I just want it to be road competence and less confusing, and I think that you're offering that, and I thank you both for bringing it forward.
Thank you, Senator Eben. All right. Now, we want to hear from those who are in favor, we're going to do this all in 15 minutes. I'm going to ask them to start the timer, and we're going to start with, you can speak in favor of either approach, and then we will at a point, we will stop and take any opposition to either of the bills. And so we'll try to keep it here to about 10 minutes, and then we'll have 5 for the opposition, because I think that's probably the way it's going to go. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Sir, could you state your name and tell us why you support the bill, but be very, very succinct. There are people behind you who want to talk, and so make it as quick as you can. And anyone else in the line, don't repeat what's been said in front of you. If you have something new to say that is different, please say that. And if you don't have anything new to say, just tell us your name and that you're in support of the bill. Okay? Do we understand the ground rules? Begin the clock. Sir, please introduce yourself.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre,
Good evening.
señores miembros del comité. Mi nombre es Pedro,
Good evening, committee members. My name is Pedro.
vivo en Virginia hace 20 años.
I've been living in Virginia for 20 years.
Por muchos años he caminado larga distancia
For many,
para tomar un bus y poder ir a trabajar.
for many years, I walked long distances so that I could take a bus and get to work.
Soporté frío, nieve, lluvia, calor. Me enfermé, pero
I had to deal with cold, snow, rain, the heat. I got sick,
como necesito trabajar, manejo sin licencia y tengo mucho miedo cuando voy.
but since I need to work, I have to drive without a license, and I get very scared.
Y un policía que venga atrás de mí me da temor.
So I get very scared. If a police officer is behind me, I get terrified.
Hoy les pido apoyen a gente para trabajar, para la gente trabajadora como yo y nos den licencia.
Today, I ask you that you support working people like myself and get past driver's licenses
Para manejar sin miedo.
to be able
Okay.
to drive without fear.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next. Thank you. Tell us, introduce yourself and
Buenas tardes, me llamo María Martínez.
Good evening. My name is Maria Martinez.
Soy afiliada de la 32BJ y el ACLU y vivo en Fallsville.
I'm a 32BJ member and I live in Falls Church.
He vivido en los Estados Unidos por 20 años,
I've been living in the United States for 20 years,
pero sigo sin poder sacar un carnet de conducir,
but I still can't get a driver's license
porque no puedo conducir legalmente.
because I can't drive legally.
Solo puedo trabajar un trabajo a tiempo parcial
I can only work
limpiando
a
oficinas por la noche.
part-time job cleaning office buildings in the evening.
No puedo trabajar durante el día porque me tomaría 3 horas para llegar en la mañana en transporte público.
I can't work during the day because it would take me 3 hours to get to work by public transportation.
En consecuencia, apenas puedo sobrevivir.
As a result, I'm barely surviving.
Solo puedo pagar una cuarta parte de mi alquiler
I can only afford to pay a quarter of my rent,
y tengo que compartir piso con 5 desconocidos.
so I have to share an apartment with 5 strangers.
Estoy muy endeudada porque he tenido que pedir ambulancia
I'm deep in debt because I've had to take ambulances
2 veces para mi hijo.
twice for my son.
La ambulancia me costaron casi $3,000
The ambulances have cost me almost
y
$3,000,
las facturas aún las tengo en colección.
and these $3,000 bills are now in
Si
collection.
hubiera tenido un carnet de conducir, no estaría debiendo ese dinero,
I wouldn't owe this money if I had a driver's license
porque podría haber conducido a mi hijo al hospital.
oh,
because
okay.
I would have been able to drive my son to the hospital.
Okay. I think we've got that. Let's save some time for people behind you. But thank you very much for appearing today and telling us your situation. Thank you. Next.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Nayeli Montes Carrillo. I've been living in Virginia almost for 13 years. In 2014, I was 8 weeks pregnant, and I was alone at home. My husband was at work, and we was dependent on somebody else to take us to work or do whatever we need. I started with a strong pain in my belly, and I had to call so many people to take me to the hospital. After several minutes, I found somebody who can take me, but that person could get there to 2 hours. After 3 hours and a half, when I got to the hospital, the doctors can't do nothing, and I lost the baby. Like me, it's several people that happened the same or something worse. So I know if we have the driver license, we maybe the things will be different.
Okay, so you prefer Senator Boysko's driver's license versus the privilege card?
Yeah, because I believe that's gonna help the wives who stay at home, because at that time I don't have proof to say that I'm working and I'm not be available to drive. So that's why I asked you to support the ASB 643.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir.
Hi, my name is Duke Trung, and I'm here on behalf of Spanish Connection and the Hispanic Center of Chesterfield. We are a multi-services company that cater to the Hispanic community, and one of the things that we do is sell insurance. And the two patrons are right in terms of the insurance premiums will go down. I quoted myself, and I have a driver's license, and I quoted myself with a license and without a license. With a valid driver's license, the quote was $2,159. $2,159. Without a driver's license, it came out to $3,077. So that's a $918 difference. And to me, that's a huge difference, especially for those who are trying to work and who can't afford this. I think that a driver's license will benefit everyone because it will decrease the insurance premiums. It will make it more affordable and more people will keep it. The other thing is that in terms of quoting for insurance, we only take a driver's license. We don't do permits or we don't do driver privileges cards and things like that.
But although you don't do that, it does not preclude insurance from being issued to someone with a privilege card. Is that correct?
If that does, we don't take that into consideration. It's either you have a driver's license or you don't have a driver's license.
Okay, because I have checked with some insurance authorities down here, and you can get insurance with the privilege card. I do not have any information on the difference in cost.
Well, you can get insurance without a driver's license.
Okay, thank you.
But we don't take that into consideration for quotes for a driver privilege cards.
Thank you very much. That's unique and helpful information. Next, please, in line. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, dear Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Rudy Gomez. I'm from the Eastern Shore of Virginia. In 2013, I met all of the requirements to become a DACA recipient. I was finally able to obtain a driver's license. My driver's license gave me a chance to legally drive. It also gave me a sense of responsibility and become a more productive resident and provide for my local community. I felt this was when I was in my community, I felt there was a need for more transportation. As I realized, compared to the city, my rural area didn't have as many options. From this necessity, in July of 2015, I started a small transportation business. Rudy's Taxi Cab now services the Eastern Shore with taxi fares, airport shuttles, and medical transportation. I feel successful about my business, and I feel great to contribute to my local economy and to the Commonwealth of Virginia. All of this is possible because I'm now documented and able to drive. Unlike myself, many undocumented families are forced to drive without a license. They have to get to work, take their kids to the doctor's appointment. When driving without a driver's license, you are constantly in fear of getting pulled over, having to go to court, being fined, taken to jail, and getting deported and not see your loved ones again. As a Hispanic and once undocumented from the beautiful Eastern Shore of Virginia, already contributing to the economy, I can see a great potential for the driver's license for all that would do for my community and the Commonwealth. A driver's license for all would unlock a potential for other entrepreneurs and start and grow their businesses. It would make a safer and more competitive Virginia. I'm a member of CASA and I support the Senate Bill 643. Thank you for your time and may God bless us all.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, and I think we'll have time for just one more, and then we're going to take opposition, and then I'm going to let people in the audience express which one they're here in support of.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Nori Soto
Good evening. My name is Nori Soto.
y soy miembro de la nueva mayoría de Virginia.
I am a member of New Virginia Majority.
Vivo en el área de Chesterfield
I live in Chesterfield,
y he sufrido discriminación por no tener una licencia de conducir.
and I've suffered discrimination because I haven't had driver's licenses.
He vivido en este maravilloso país por alrededor de 20 años y soy madre soltera,
I've lived in this lovely country for almost 20 years, and I'm a single mother,
luchando y trabajando duro para salir adelante ganando el salario mínimo.
working hard, earning only the minimum wage.
He sufrido varios incidentes por no tener una licencia de conducir
I've suffered lots of incidents because I didn't have driver's licenses.
y no tener una licencia ha sido un gran inconveniente para mí.
Not having licenses has really hurt me.
He estado en varios accidentes en los cuales no ha sido mi culpa
I've been in accidents, car accidents that it was not my fault,
y por no tener una licencia de conducir he tenido que ir a corte,
but because I didn't have license, I had to go to court,
perder un día de trabajo,
lose a day of work,
gastado mucho dinero en abogados,
spent a lot of money in lawyers' fees,
pagar asistencia médica.
paying for medical help.
Soy cristiana y madre soltera
I'm a Christian single mother,
y me veo obligada a hacer algo ilegal todos los días porque tengo que manejar para trabajar y dar soporte a mi familia.
and I'm forced to do something illegal every day just to support my family.
Estoy representando aquí a miles de mujeres que como yo trabajan duro para sacar adelante a sus familias como madres solteras.
I'm representing thousands of women who are
Solo-
supporting their families.
Solo la semana pasada pagué $2,000 en gastos de
Just last
abogado,
week, I spent
corte
$2,000
y ticket.
in court fees, legal fees, and tickets.
Great.
Les
Well,
pido en el nombre de Jesús que
okay,
por favor nos ayude.
thank you
Please,
very
in the
much.
name of
Okay,
Jesus, help us.
now we're going to hear from those in opposition to both of these bills. But first, at this point in time, on those who are here in support, we'll start out with all those here in support of Senator Boysko's Senate Bill, I believe 643. If you are in support of that bill, please stand. Okay, thank you very much. All those here who are in support, okay, please have a seat. Thank you. All those who are here in support of Senator Surivel's Senate Bill 34, please rise. Okay, we have someone. We have two people have joined Senator Surivel. Huh?
Senator Boysko.
Well, we'll get to that in just a moment. But I see that there's overwhelming support here for the driver's license version of the bill. Now, we'd like to hear from those who are in opposition to one or both of these efforts to provide a driving status to undocumented immigrants. Is there anyone here in opposition to either of the bills, or would like to comment on something?
Mr. Trump, they just stood up. You can see.
Yes, ma'am. All right, ma'am. You.
Well, they say no. Oh, no opposition. We are in favor of both bills. The whole community.
So you are one or the other. Okay.
We're using this time to say yes.
There we are. All right. Now we're. Do we have any further questions from the committee members? All right. Here's what we're. Yeah.
I have a motion.
Okay.
Yeah. So, members of the committee, Mr. Chairman, thank you for hearing these bills. I think you can see that there is very strong passion amongst the community. This has been identified as the #1 priority for a number of organizations that are throughout the Commonwealth, from the interfaith community to the immigrant community, people who are concerned about safety. This is a common sense proposal. It's going to make us safer on the roads. It's going to be better for our economy. And I strongly urge you to support the full driver's license. Since we have a real ID, I do not see a reason to have a third level of driving credential. And it is my wish and hope that you all will take the language of the driver's license for all.
Okay, Senator Servo.
Mr. Chairman, I would just, number one, echo everything that Senator Boysko just said to you. I just wanted to clarify one thing. I checked in with Mr. Legault, who's with the insurance companies, and he indicated that if we did do a temporary privilege card, there would be no problem insuring anybody. So I'm not clear where that is coming from. But beyond that, I second everything that Senator Boysko said. I think it was in 2014, I had a town hall in my district where I asked the entirely Latino crowd in the room what their number one priority was for the Virginia legislature, and it was driver's licenses. And so this is a huge priority for a huge part of the Commonwealth. And having said that, Mr. Chairman, I have a motion that Senator Boyce
Senator Serval, could we suspend for just a moment? Senator McPike brought up a very important point as to which way this should go in terms of the anticipated motion that you have, based on the single object rule. Senator McPike.
Mr. Chairman, I believe there was some discussion of potentially rolling in Senator Boysko's language and bill into Senator Serval's. However, I think it would run into the single object rule and therefore would move that Senator Serval be moved into Senator Boysko's bill and be named co-chief patron with Senator Boysko's language moving forward.
I don't agree with that. We need to have a conversation about it.
Because the titles are different.
Mr. Chairman.
One moment, Senator Favola. I think could you, Lisa, could you address Senator McPike's concern about the single object rule here?
Mr. Chairman, I don't think there would be an issue because while they're titled slightly differently, that one is driver's privilege cards and one is driver's license, they're dealing generally with the same underlying topic of who can obtain some sort of driver privilege. I mean, I don't want to use that word again. Some sort of credential that would allow them to drive a vehicle. And so I don't think that there would be a germaneness issue or a one object issue.
Would anyone on the committee have a comment on that particular matter?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Just a moment.
Mr.
Anyone?
Chairman, so my question, what she was saying to my question is, I favor the driver's license versus the driver's privilege. So are they the?
I'm trying to take care of you. I'm trying to take care of you. If I can make a motion.
And Senator Favola had a question first.
Well,
Senator Favola.
I was just going to say, I think we should make it clean and understandable. And in other committees, when we've had this situation, if we agreed more with the content of one bill, we just had the other patron roll into the bill that we were most comfortable with.
Yep.
Is that where you're heading, Senator
No,
Servo?
it's not. And me and Senator Boysko have discussed this along with the chairman, and we had an idea of what we wanted to do, and we were all in agreement with that. And there may be some new ideas that have occurred in the committee since we started this presentation, but I thought we were all in agreement about what I was about to do.
It is. We just wanted to clear up this single object rule.
Which I don't think is an issue.
Mr. Chairman, I guess I wasn't privy to the conversation, but it is certainly the, I think, general intent of many of us on this committee to support the driver's license.
But that's what I was about to do.
Okay,
All
very
right.
good.
Senator Serval, you have a motion.
Yeah, I would like to move to incorporate Senator Boysko's bill into my bill, and I would like to take Senator Boysko's substitute as amended and substitute that for my legislation.
Okay, so that is essentially what this would mean is that as the bill would go to Finance and Appropriations, it would be your bill, but Senator Boysko's would be a substitute for your bill. So the first thing debated and voted on in the Finance Committee would be whether to accept the substitute, which is the driver's license, versus the primary vehicle here, which is the driver privilege card. If they rejected the substitute, then your bill of the driver privilege card would be before the Finance and Appropriations Committee, and that would then become the bill that they voted on. Is that correct?
Right, or on the floor of the Senate, right.
Or on the floor of the Senate if they sent it in that direction. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second question, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Suderline.
So what would happen then is the position that would be advanced today instead of the proposal that says not valid for identification for federal voting or public benefits purposes, that language would be gone.
Correct. You'd have the ID that
Just
Senator
says
Boysko handed
federal
at the-
limits apply.
Right.
So
Senator Suderline, what would then happen if they rejected, in finance, rejected the substitute, then Senator Servel's driver
the
privilege
underlying.
card would become the vehicle and.
But
it
what's being advanced today would be removing those
Yes.
prescriptions that have been
Yes, sir.
advocated the last
Yes.
4
Yes,
years.
that-
Correct.
He is correct. That is what's being advanced.
Senator Favola.
I'm sorry, Senator Suderline is correct. We are making a policy call today, and that decision, I hope, will be to advance the driver's license card. The strategy you're talking about is sort of a double protection. If in fact the committee does not accept the driver's license, the fallback will be the privilege card.
Right.
And the finance committee will be making the final decision,
Or the Senate will.
or this, if it gets out of finance. But, so that's just so for clarity, so everybody to understand. Did you make a motion, Senator Servo?
We'll be able to have that.
And it's seconded, okay.
Okay,
So
thank you.
motion-
Senator Cosgrove.
John?
Okay, excuse me, Senator DeStefano.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a couple of questions. Sorry. I have a couple of questions. And part of it is I really don't understand some of the processes here too. So Senator Boysko, on your, Mr. Chairman, if I may, Senator Boysko, on your bill on line 28, it says if the applicant has not been issued a social security number or individual taxpayer identification number, he shall certify that such number has not been issued. How is that certified? And then how is that used? Because I understand that you need a social security number, a taxpayer identification number to get the driver's license as one of many different IDs. And then how is that certified? And is that now included, or how is that included or excluded in the different documents that you need for your driver's license?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. So it's a crime to file a false document already. It's a felony. But the requirements on this, you have to have 2 proofs of residency that would show your address or some other form of identification.
And if you could please,
And-
Mr.
and
Chairman,
the
if I
DMV
could explain
commissioner is
exactly
gonna
what
come.
those could be or what's acceptable or not.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Commissioner.
Senator DeStefano, and I have Sharon Brown, who's my Director of Driver Services. But to answer your original question, right now, to get a regular license, if you want a real ID, you have to produce a Social Security card. If you've never been issued a Social Security card, and there are some religious groups that don't want a Social Security card, you can get a standard license by making that certification. So we're not inventing a new process for this group of customers. That is already what we currently do for someone who has never been issued a Social Security number.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, but they
Senator
still have
DeStefano.
a TIN, correct? Taxpayer identification number.
Again, if you have to get a real ID currently, you have to have a Social Security. If you have a tax identification number, you can get a regular standard driver's license now. If you have neither one of those, that's when you make the certification.
Okay, and then, Mr. Chairman, if I may just follow up.
Senator DeStefano.
So if I don't have a Social Security number, if I don't have a TIN, then I'm not sure how I'm going to show I'm paying taxes. But if I don't have either of those, how do I certify that I don't have anything? And I guess that's where I'm kind of confused.
Hi.
Is there a separate form that says, hey, I don't have a TIN, I don't have this, but I'm still paying taxes?
So, Mr. Chairman, Sharon Brown, Department of Motor Vehicles. The ITIN is what would be needed. You would have an ITIN if you're paying taxes, that's correct, for the driver privilege card. So in today's world, you either have a Social Security number that's been issued to you, or in this new bill, you have an ITN that has been issued to you. And what we're asking is that the applicant present that information to us, but there are people who have not been issued either of those. And this certification, which would be likely on the application, would allow the person that's never been issued either of those to get the driver's license proposed by Senator Boysko's bill.
So, Mr. Chairman, just to follow up, so if they don't
Senator
have
DeStefano.
if they don't have a Social Security number where they don't have an TIN, ITIN, how are they certifying that I'm paying taxes and I don't have a TIN and I don't have a social security number? Then how are they paying taxes? I'm having a hard time trying to get to logically, how are you paying taxes if you don't have it? How do they know it's you
Mr.
paying
Chairman,
taxes?
I would just say, first of all, under Senator Boysko's bill, there is no requirement to show you pay taxes. You're not required to show you're paying taxes to get a Virginia driver's license.
Yep. No one has to do that at this point in time. But on the privilege card, Senator Servo?
Yeah. I mean, on the privilege card, you have to, but, I mean, I guess if the senator favors that version.
I do. I actually like that one.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Mr.
But
Chairman, Senator
there are
Servo?
provisions in my bill about how the payment of taxes are verified, authorizing DMV or Department of Taxation to communicate with DMV to confirm things, but.
Okay. So any other questions from the committee?
Mr. Chairman, the motion is pending, is it not?
I believe it is, and so that
Mr. Chairman, I had one last question.
Senator
Chairman, you have a motion on the floor. He can ask questions all day long.
Well, I understand, but this is a complicated issue, Senator Spruill, and I think we can.
And I promise this will be my last question. Senator Boysko, you said that your bill is a public safety bill. Which public safety organizations have you been coordinating this with? Which police department, which agencies, which organizations have you been coordinating your bill on for this specific bill, Senate Bill 643, and are they here today to say, yes, we're in support of it, it is a public safety bill?
So, Senator Marsden, Mr. Chairman, Fairfax County government supports this bill. It's on their legislative agenda. They have to consult with their entire board and make sure that the policy is correct. They have a police department. I will also point out that in the 2016 study that Senator Serval and I provided, our legislation was based on, the study was based on our legislation. The police were at the table, as well as the Sheriff's Department, the Sheriff's Association as well.
Senator Boysko, would you?
And I have Fairfax County government representative here today.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, are they law enforcement or are they?
Senator
trying to make
DeSteph
sure we're
is that this is the policy of the county, which I am, the police department has, been consulted as are all relevant agencies. So I think the county speaks as one, including their police department. That might be a different situation where there's an elected sheriff. But in this particular case, the policy is the policy. And would you say, Senator Boysko, that probably Fairfax County has the largest population of undocumented Virginians at this time? So we are speaking of a relevant jurisdiction.
Correct.
Because of certainly their size and the makeup of their population, and the fact that the county speaks as one, which we're familiar with. Senator Cosgrove.
Mr. Chairman, having served in local government and done many legislative packages, anybody that served in local government knows when the local government says, we want this, the chief of police, who is basically an employee of that city government, is going to go, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, 3 bags full. So to say that the county government speaks for all public safety is in itself just unbelievable.
Well, they do speak with one voice, Senator Cosgrove, because that's the the way things are in government. So we have a motion before us, and could we spent a little time on this? Could staff reiterate exactly what the motion is, or Senator Serval, could you repeat it?
I move that Senator Boysko's bill be incorporated into mine, and that the substance of her bill be substituted for my bill.
Okay, so your bill will become a substitute for Senator Boysko's bill, and in that way, one or the other.
Chairman, before
Senator
we vote,
Cosgrove.
I see we have public safety in the back of the room. Can I get Wayne Hudgens to come up here and say that he's been coordinated? Because this says we've coordinated with public safety, and this is a public safety bill. I've not had one law enforcement individual. I've not had anyone representing public safety.
Senator
that says this is-
DeSteph, I would not want to put Mr. Huggins on the spot here, because, he is representing an association, not a law enforcement agency directly, and I don't know that he would be speaking for law enforcement, although no one in this Commonwealth have greater respect for in the law enforcement agencies, but Wayne, you can certainly choose to decline that offer based on your unique status in law enforcement matters in the Commonwealth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do not speak for the Department of State Police. I don't know if they've been consulted. I don't know if they have a position on the bill. The State Police Association has no position on this bill.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And at this point in time, we have the
Mr. Chairman, I call the pending question.
Senator Favola calls the pending question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pending question is before us. Could we open the rolls?
Voice vote.
Oh, excuse me, this is a
On the
voice vote on
substitute.
this, on
On
that?
the substitute.
Okay.
Voice vote.
Okay. All in favor?
It's a voice vote on this.
On the substitute, and then there's a,
You're right.
a
Motion
roll
to
call
incorporate's
vote.
recorded. Motion to
Chairman,
incorporate's
point of
recorded.
order.
Yeah.
You're
Time
the
out.
chairman.
Time out.
You're the chairman.
Senator Cosgrove.
Yeah.
What we will do, we have a motion,
Incorporate.
before us to accept the motion of Senator Servell. It's a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Motion to incorporate is recorded.
Oh, it's a recorded vote,
Yeah.
excuse me. Okay. Open the rolls. All in favor of incorporating Senator Servell's into
Voice go into Servell.
voice goes into Centerville's, please say aye. Opposed, nay.
On the board.
Ayes 8, no 7.
Ayes 8, no 7. The bill, the motion is accepted.
Mr. Chairman, I move
We have
to
a motion to.
report and re-refer to finance.
The
Second.
motion
Second.
now is to report and refer to finance.
That's also.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor of that, please signify by saying aye on the voting machine, nay if you're opposed.
Ayes 8, no 7.
Ayes 8, nays 7. The bill reports to finance as amended. Thank you.
Good job.
All right. We will suspend for about 2 minutes to allow the room to clear, and then we'll proceed with our business. Could you notify Senator McDougal? He's next on the list. Thank you. Oh, sure.
Well, we're waiting to get our next patron. Do you want to handle Bryce's bill? It's just a corporal abbreviation.
Sure. Go ahead. I will. I just got to wait till the